What's up guys, Spin Firearms here, and this is my Ruger LC9S. So basically, when we're talking about it, you can basically compare it to the EC9S. There's a couple differences which we'll get into, but basically it's a great budget-oriented firearm. It's got a decent trigger, very light to carry, has been completely reliable for me, and it was one of my very first carry firearms, so it's always going to be something I keep, and always something I still carry from time to time, because honestly, it sort of humbles me and brings me back to those times where that's the firearm that I had. That's the firearm, that I could afford. It didn't kill the bank, and at the same time, I could get out to the range every weekend and train with it, and it never caused me any problems. But before we get started, hit the like button, drop a comment down below. I know a lot of people own these firearms, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. And would you ever get something like this today? And I guarantee the answer is probably going to be no, but maybe this video might change it. Anyways, the LC9S. The difference between the EC9S and the LC9S is simple, right? The LC9S has a much better finish, right? The EC9Ss have some problems with rusting, and that's because they use a worse finish. This LC9S in front of me right here has been pocket carried like crazy in sweat, dirt, debris, gunk, primer, glue, pipe shavings, all sorts of stuff, and it's never had an issue. I've ran this thing into the ground, leaving it super dirty, taking it out to the range the next day before I clean it and shooting it, and it just runs. You'll also notice that my EC9S, I don't have it with me, has the exact same hoe grip. And the reason is, one, I like the OD green, and then two, the one complaint I have about it is the grip is so dang skinny. Now, that's a great thing for pocket carry and stuff like that, but I like thicker grips. I like wider grips. That's why the Glock 26 is such a big firearm to me that I love. M&P 40C, Ruger SR9C. I love the subcompacts because they tend to be thicker and fit my hand really well. So I threw that whole grip on there. Adds a little bit of width in the grip, but not too much. It's a 7+1 setup, but you can also get the 9-round mag, which is very similar in size to the Glock 43X. Glock 43X using its intended mags. Keyword, intended mags. Glock did not produce the 43X for you to use shield arms mags. Glock did not test their 43X with PSA dagger mags. Glock made the Glock 43X to be a 10+1 setup. It's simple as that. And the reason why I always mention that is because when I put out a poll, 50% of the people say they've been reliable. 50% of the people said it's been a train wreck. Now, would you trust your life on 50-50 odds? Now, me, my S15 mags from Shield Arms, 100% reliable. My PSA Dagger mags have had some issues. My Z9 mags from Shield Arms have been absolutely terrible. So it's like, would I trust my firearm with mags that are all over the place when it comes to reliability? Or would I trust it with the OEM mags with less capacity, but you know it's going to go bang every time? Right? And that's why I make that comparison, because this is only one round short in basically a thinner profile, being the same length with that 9-round OEM Ruger mag. So it's still a very comparable option. Now, the one thing I don't like about it is it comes with only one mag. I think that's a little ridiculous. And also there is a mag disconnect on my EC9S as well as the LC9S. The reason why the mag disconnect is a problem is if you accidentally drop that mag, that round's not going to go off in the chamber. So you're literally going to have to put a new mag in it before you're going to get any sort of round off. With something like a Glock or some Smith & Wessons prior to them getting, or after them getting rid of their mag disconnects, you wouldn't have that issue. You could still let that one round go and then figure out how you're going to get that next mag in there. So that is my one issue with the mag disconnect. But as you can see, this thing has some character to it. All the edges are, you can see down to the stainless steel. You can literally see it. But I've had no rust issues with this. My EC9S, I haven't had rust issues with either, but at the same time, that's a firearm that I got newer because I used to carry the EC9S all the time because that was one of my first carry firearms that I could afford. But as you can see, it is beat up. Look at all the little dents, all the little markings, the barrel, the frame. It's just scraped up, it's beat up, but guess what? Not a single issue. Another difference between the EC9S and the LC9S is the sights. The sights on the EC9S are milled into the slide, so you cannot change them out. These, you can change them out, and they're much better 3-dot sights. The other ones are blacked out with some texturing, so you can put some paint on them if you have to, or whatever the case may be. They're still very usable sights, but I'd compare them to something like the M&P Bodyguard, the Ruger LCP. The Bodyguard actually has good sights, or like the Taurus Spectrum or revolver sights. They're just bare. They're barely there, and they don't have any coloring to them or dots or anything like that, and they are part of that slide, so you can never change it out. As far as the trigger goes, the trigger is actually decent on these. The LC9S and EC9S are striker fired. They're not like the LC9s and EC9s that are hammer fired. These have a long trigger pull, but they're very light, crisp, and clean. These are very shootable pocket pistols. And I say pocket pistols because this is what I use it for a lot. I carry it in my pocket. When I carry appendix with it, I will throw that 9-round mag in it and stuff like that. But mainly, this is a pocket pistol that's been reliable through abuse, through getting dirty, and stuff like that. Now, obviously, it's looking pretty clean right now for what it is. But remember, guys, these are tools. They're meant to get beat up. They're meant to be scratched up. They're meant to have wear and tear. If you guys have seen my FN503, the slide is destroyed, but no rust issues. I love to see that. I love to see a good quality firearm that can take a beating, that can literally get ran over. I tell the story about my FN503 being ran over on concrete. I tell that in previous videos. I've dropped it. I actually fell off a 6-foot ladder because a stud was not nailed in, and I didn't use 2 points of contact like I'm supposed to. Leaned it right up against it. Next thing you know, I fall off backwards at like 4:30 in the morning onto the ground, onto my firearm. Didn't go off, round in the chamber, no issues. So remember, these are tools. They're meant to be beat up. If you go look at my Milwaukee Sawzalls or my hammers or my tapes or my levels, they're gunked up with glue and primer. They're scratched up, they're beat up, but they all work still. And that's the thing about tools, is they work under those conditions, and that's exactly what you want. So I always recommend stuff like this because you can get an EC9S with Ruger's, backed reliability. I know some people do have issues, but every firearm has issues. Every firearm brand has issues. Some just not as much as others. But for $250, you can get an awesome, reliable pocket pistol that'll be there when you need it, and it could be a simple beater gun. I know some people who have some Ruger LC9Ss, and they simply keep them in their tackle box for fishing, and that's when they carry it. It literally just sits in their tackle box. They never even pull it out other than that. I know some people that use them as truck guns, beater guns, and what I mean by beater gun is just something that can take abuse, be in certain climates, certain situations, but it's still going to run. So I love the EC9S and the LC9S. It's always a firearm that I like to pull out because it reminds me where I came from, and it reminds me when I started my carry, conceal, and firearm journey. And that was an absolute awesome thing for me, awesome memory, and something that I'll always remember. So these things are great little pocket pistols. They are bigger than your Ruger LCPs by a good amount, but once again, they're chambered in 9mm. They have a 3.0 inch barrel, I believe, or 3.1 inch barrel. But with the right defensive ammo, Underwood Extreme Defenders, which they run really well. I actually had trouble with Federal HSTs out of my LC9S, but that's about it. Other than that, every other defensive ammo that I run in it has been fine. I actually carry SIG M17 plus P ammo. They tend to run really well out of this if you guys are looking for an ammo, and also the Underwood Extreme Defenders run really, really well out of the Ruger LC9Ss and the EC9Ss. So literally the only difference is going to be the trigger is better on the LC9S, the finish is better, the sights are better, and that's about it. What's also nice about these is they give you the option for a manual safety. And it's not just a floppy manual safety, it's actually pretty crisp. Going up has a little resistance, right? Going down has no resistance. So it's very easy to turn off that safety right out of the holster and get to it, you know what I mean? So a lot of people who carry in the pocket, they want to know that it's not going to go off no matter what. They want a striker blocking safety. They want something that, they may be new or whatever the case may be and not realize unless that trigger is pulled, it's not going to go off. So that's a benefit for a lot of people. For me, I just don't use it. I don't touch it. But like I said, it's firm. It gives you a little resistance. It's got some weight to it. So when you're shooting, you're not going to accidentally bump that up. See what I'm saying? You have to put some actual force into it. But getting it off, very easy. So that's the Ruger EC9S, LC9S. Don't count out older firearms or older models. They all play a role. They're all a benefit. Like, why get this over SIG P365? Like I said, you may not want to spend $500, $600 on a firearm that you're going to beat up or just keep somewhere for certain occasions and stuff like that. So, love these firearms. I have nothing against them. Thanks for watching.